Welcome Concord Township to the Concord Township Board of Trustee meeting for August 5th, 2020. We're going to call the meeting to order. And if you could stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, Mrs. Dawson.
Mr. McIntosh.
Present.
Mrs. Lucci.
Present.
Mr. Dondorfer.
Present. For those of you that are joining us this evening online or, on the phone there, if you could please mute your phone and we will have you unmute when we get into the audience portion this evening. We are going to go into the approval of the minutes from the last meeting, which was July 15th, 2020 regular trustee meeting. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the regular trustee meeting minutes from July 15th.
And I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And for the July 22nd, 2020 special meeting.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes from the July 22nd, 2020 special meeting.
And a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to our elected officials report and our fiscal officer, Amy Dawson.
Thank you, Mr. Dondorfer. As of July 31st, we were 58% of the way through the calendar year. The treasury balance for the 19 active funds within the township treasury was $7.0 million. The treasury balance includes $1.4 million in funds set aside for specific projects. This does not include the fire station project, other than a small leftover PO out of that. Unencumbered funds in the JED and the capital projects funds that can be put toward this project are $2.0 million. The remainder, $3.6 million, will be used for operating expenses such as road repairs, cemetery, recreation, zoning, fire service, and administration in the township. This money will have to pay for expenses until the first quarter of 2021. Year-to-date expenditures are 46% of the amount appropriated for 2020. The revenue received year-to-date is 68%, including the advance on the second half of our real estate taxes, so we are well within budget. I would say in the last 2 years, we've received more at the advance in some funds than we have the real estate tax. So we're getting more money sooner, so we're able to actually invest that and earn money on that. If you have any specific financial questions, please do not hesitate to call my office, 354-7516, or you can always go to www.ohiocheckbook.gov. The website recently changed from .com to .gov. But it doesn't matter. Whatever you key in there, it'll take you right to it, and you can see what we've spent since 2013 right on the website. That's all I have, Mr. Dondorfer.
Thank you, Mrs. Dawson. Moving into the trustees' comments this evening, Mrs. Lucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did speak with a few residents over the past couple weeks regarding some road issues, someone on Cherry Hill, another resident in nature preserves. Mr. Brown had already been taking care of those, so not a problem, and they're being handled. I also want to thank one of our residents, Mr. Wooden on Prouty, for getting us on the no littering signs. He's very concerned about littering on that road, and it's probably just because of not really littering maybe, but people aren't picking up after their trash that gets blown away. So if we can kind of all remember to do that. And obviously I've spent a lot of time in conversation with experts regarding the fire station. Done lots of research. I think what's most important though is, reflecting on my decision, why I chose the decision that I think is most important is, we have to take care of the people that take care of us. People that are in service usually serve selflessly. They do so kind of sometimes without taking care of themselves. Our firefighters have been living in conditions and working in conditions that are not suitable for too long, and it's time. It's time to give them what they deserve because they take care of us. We need to help take care of them. We stand behind safety on our website. Everybody fights a fire. We're all included in this. I think a sacrifice of $5 a month is very affordable to give our firemen, our firewomen, facilities that they can work and flourish in. I think, there's lots of sensitive issues still out there. It's very important to understand all the facts, not just hear something, entertain the fact that there could be two sides. So please do your due diligence too when you're looking at the facts. We are always available to answer questions. So please call us, but we are looking for your support to move this forward. This is extremely important. This is a high priority for us. So we hope that you join us, and thank you again for all your input.
Thank you, Mrs. Lucci. Mr. McIntosh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, had a busy couple of weeks since our last trustee meeting. I have been out with our service director, Mr. Brown, and Stormwater to deal with or to take a look at a pretty significant water issue. And I was able to bring Stormwater with us, and that's a fluid situation. Another issue of getting more and more educated on. So that was been interesting, still working on it. Had some conversations with some residents regarding some zoning issues, developer, and just a couple things may be coming our way in the future. And as the three of us have also talked with a lot of residents regarding the fire station project, we had a stakeholder meeting just over a week ago. I continue to think that those meetings were very constructive dialogue and engagement. I think there was a lot of information provided by the township and by our architects, and I think Ms. Dawson and Mr. Rose did a fantastic job last week explaining the financing options. I know that was something that was very unclear, and I think that we were able to clear that up. I had a lot of people thank us for the detail and that information, so it was nice to hear that. And I obviously, we had a unanimous support with this board for this project. I've spoken with a lot of residents, and I will definitely say that I've heard many people speak vigorously in favor and in opposition to it. So I think there's a lot of differing opinions in the community out there, but there's a lot of support for it. I'm hearing a lot of that. We have a responsibility to the community. There isn't a time I haven't spoken with a resident that doesn't give kudos to the Concord Fire Department. They do a fantastic job. If we want to continue to attract quality employees and have the fire service that we have and EMS service we have in Concord, we need to equip them with the tools and the safety. We had the fire we talked about in the staff meeting on Friday. They serviced a structure fire on Thursday evening, and they're drying fire equipment in the bay. That is not a safe practice as far as this critical function, and it's just for Concord Township, I think it's time that we modernize these facilities to meet the demands of the fire service today. I would also like to echo that I feel we've been responsible. We have worked to lower the cost of this project. We're looking to seize upon the opportunity to save money with low interest rates and potentially a soft period in the economy, which will allow us to build this project at a lower cost than in the past. And we've seen dramatic reductions from the way the project was a year ago with this new board. And so I look forward to working with the community and on this project. And I would also like to say, I remain available, and I would love to engage with any resident that has questions about this project, and I encourage you to reach out to a trustee. Thank you.
Yes, so to recap for our residents that may have not been with us last evening for the special meeting that we had regarding the fire station project, and those that are viewing tonight, just to recap what we voted on last night, we were looking at different financing options in regards to pushing both fire stations forward. I entertained a lot of phone calls today asking, well, why now? And the reason is it's imperative that we demonstrate and support our first responders during one of the most critical times that I've dealt with in my years. We have to support our first responders and have a healthy environment for them to respond to the needs of our community in. So with that, we've held several meetings, And last night, we looked at several options, and we voted unanimously to put on an 8 million bond levy. The last ask, I believe, was 10 million, and we're looking at 8 million to fund 2 stations. We've drilled down the cost, we've worked with the community, and so what that works out to is a 0.6 mils levy that works out to be about $21 per $100,000 of home value. So when I explain some of the reasonings behind why we're doing this now, most people are concerned because they want it to be affordable. In this instance, we're able to shield 60% of our residents from any tax increase because those that live within the Riverside School District, the Morley Library construction bond levy falls off the beginning of the year. That would negate any increase seen by this fire levy. So 60% of our residents will be shielded from any tax increase. 40%, those living in the Menor School District, would see an increase of what I just stated, about $21 per $100,000. We thought that this was the best balance for the township. We did not want to financially strap the township for any unforeseen emergency that would occur in the township that would require us to act and pay for something. So we thought this was the most prudent and responsible way to seek financing. We cannot do it alone, and it's imperative that the community come together on this initiative and support our ability to fund the financing for these fire stations. So last night, we did vote unanimously for that resolution to put that on the ballot and have our community support that. With that, again, I echo the comments by the other trustees here that, you know, we have to take care of our first responders, and you know, we've always been asked to make it affordable, and I don't know how much more affordable we can make it other than shielding 60% of our residents from not having to pay anything, and the other 40% having a very affordable ask to support the men and women that go out every day in a not so good environment right now with the health issues out there with COVID and other things, and work to serve our community day in and day out. As a first responder myself, you know, I know that these men and women that go out every day are dedicated. Their motivation is service. And I think it's time for us to come together collectively and to demonstrate our support for that service, because it's got to take us into the next 50 years, and it's not going to get any cheaper. We've looked at this. We can't predict the future, but all I see is this costing more if we continue to push this down the road. So I would ask that if you do have any questions, please reach out to one of us. We are more than open to discuss the matter with you. We all are answer calls all day long, but we really need to come together and work collectively together to push this fire station project through and get the funding for that, so we can get these stations built, pay off the debt early at a low interest rate, and not have to combat rising construction costs in an effort to protect the safety and wellness of our firefighters. So thank you again, and on to department reports with our administration department, Mr. Andy Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Dondorfer, members of the board, Mrs. Dawson, audience, good evening. Just a few items to cover. The first is on the agenda is Resolution 2020-26, and that is required in order to move along the Kellogg Creek Restoration Project. I would like to thank the law director for his heavy lifting in going through this somewhat cumbersome document. But the project is being fully funded through the Ohio EPA and the County Engineer's Office and Stormwater Management Office. They have the lead on this project, but it is taking place in Concord Township. So this resolution allows us to enter in to be part of the sponsorship agreement. And just as a reminder, there is no cost to the township, zero cost to the township for this Kellogg Creek restoration project. This is all being funded through a grant, $1.4 million. Under old business is the memorandum of understanding between the township and the IAFF Local 3329, which is our full-time firefighters union. This is regarding the carryover of unused vacation time and compensation of unused holiday time. So that is there for your consideration under old business, and I recommend passage of that. I accepted a resignation letter on behalf of the trustees for part-time facility attendant Tom Boris, effective July 13th, 2020. We wish Tom well in his future endeavors, and we thank him for his service to Concord Township. He's done a great job for us. A little bit of an unpleasant issue. I debated bringing this up, but I'm hoping that people that are watching it at home and listening at home is regarding the Porta-John at Concord Hills Park. It's been vandalized several times, and it is continually filled with trash outside of its intended use. The company that we have a contract with that services it for us has informed us that this has happened on several occasions, and they will no longer remove all the trash and repair the vandalized, the hinges, the paper or toilet paper holder, those types of things. They're going to charge those back to us for any future occurrences of vandalism. I would prefer to, the Porta-John's there for our residents' convenience when they go to the park. But, I really don't want to pull it, but we can't, as a township, keep repairing vandalism and misuse. There are trash receptacles, regular trash receptacles right next to the Porta-John. So I don't understand why this is a difficult concept, but I'm hoping the folks listening at home, if you're at Concord Hills Park, maybe you see mischief, see something, say something. So that's my spiel on the park, and that concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. Moving on to the fire department, Chief Sabo.
Good evening, everyone. So for the month of July, we had a total of 217 events. We had 121 EMS events. We made contact with 130 patients with 87 transports. On the fire side, we had a total of 8 events. Inside of Concord, we had 2 vehicle fires, 2 structure fires, and 1 brush fire. Outside of Concord, we responded to 2 structure fires and 1 fire investigation. We gave mutual aid 19 times, and we received mutual aid 19 times. So it was a wash with our neighbors. In the Bureau, the Fire Prevention Bureau, they did a total of 52 inspections, accounting for approximately 88 hours. They had 36 past inspections, 8 inspections that passed with comments, 1 correction notice issued, and 2 follow-up inspections. They also have 5 pending, which is a combination of consultations and follow-ups on past failures or discrepancies that are working towards correction. So a lot of what the Inspection Bureau does is education. So going out and educating the business or in a rare occurrence, the home for like a foster home or something like that. They work with them to help make those corrections. They did 2 plan reviews and accounted for about 6 hours. They spent about 14 hours in training and continuing education. And they also provided some important training to our line staff, our firefighters. They did 6 training drills and reached out to 28 firefighters inside Concord. So a little bit of ingenuity and education and training for our firefighters from the Inspection Bureau. So that was nice. In the public education side, we did 3 Knox box installations And they also did 2 days of fire extinguisher training for a commercial business, and that had 70 students participating. On a side note, I want to thank this Board of Trustees and Mr. Rose and Mrs. Dawson for their support of the fire station project, and as well as there's so many people in the community. I get phone calls and emails regularly of support asking how they can help, and they truly understand the operation of the fire department and what we're trying to accomplish, not just for today, but for decades to come, to protect this township. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Moving on to the Service Department and our Service Director, Tim Brown.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
The Service Department for the month of July, we've been pretty busy. The concrete crew has replaced approximately 200 yards of concrete throughout the township as part of our concrete slab replacement program. Whitney Lane, Harwood Lane, Fieldstone Court, Amanda Court all received concrete improvements. The crew continues to move throughout the township, making some more concrete repairs. Our DuraPatch crack sealing crews have been out making repairs to prolong the lifetime of our roadways in the township. The Service Department is also continuing to work with the residents and the Lake County Stormwater Management Department on problem areas within the township to help alleviate stormwater issues. Our yard waste dumpster at the Service Department continues to get a lot of traffic from residents bringing in their yard waste. The paving on Cali Woods, Alexander, and Bridlewood has been completed. A punch list of repairs and sealing the edges of the roadway and seams is still to be performed by Carvo Paving, and we are working closely with the engineer's office to get those issues resolved. The Service Department reminds everyone to give us a call at 440-350-3225 or email at concordtwp.com, and we wish everybody to have a safe and healthy rest of their summer. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Moving on to zoning, and Heather Freeman, our zoning director.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So the month of July, we were fairly busy issuing permits. We issued 46 zoning permits and collected $4,700 in fees. Additionally, we performed 141 inspections for open permits and investigated 9 new complaints about potential zoning violations. Information on next week's Board of Zoning Appeals meeting can be found on the Township website under the Public Meetings tab. And lastly, just a reminder to residents, we're happy to take your call or your emails and answer any questions that you may have about land use, zoning, or maybe your construction projects. We're happy to assist you to get through the process. So, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our rec department, and Deborah Esker.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I am happy to report the Recreation Department is hard at work to bring value and service to our residents, and here's what's going on in August. Fire up that PowerPoint, Rick. Thank you. Gotta have PowerPoint. We know it may be difficult for residents to come to the community center during normal business hours, to complete reservations, to get assistance enrolling in classes or conducting other regular business. So we've reworked our schedule to provide evening office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays until 8:30 p.m. We've also designated senior hours at the community center on Tuesdays from 1 to 4 and Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. These times are reserved specifically for residents age 55 and older for small group activities and leisure club meetings. And just a quick reminder that in order to adhere to state and local guidelines, we continue to employ universal precautions at the community center. Be aware that every time you enter the community center, you must sign a logbook located at our entrance, and the purpose of the logbook is strictly for contact tracing if ever needed. Rental room capacity remains at 35 people as opposed to 70 under normal circumstances, and tables should be placed at least 6 feet apart. Guests at rentals or people participating in meetings and programs should keep in mind the social distancing guidelines and to wear masks. And organizers and staff are also cleaning high-touch surfaces every 2 hours. So that's what we're still doing. And we are happy to welcome people to the community center in a safe and appropriate way. So what's happening in August? Well, the community center can be your sanctuary for some healthy exercise and a little fun. Classes offered in August include our martial arts for adults and kids, yoga, Pilates fusion, pound with those weighted drumsticks, easygoing Tai Chi, and energy-burning tennis lessons for kids. If you enjoy crafts, check out our driftwood centerpiece class where you can create a beautiful and unique centerpiece made with our own Lake Erie driftwood. We're also offering virtual music classes, including movement and music for younger children, creative music making and songwriting for teens, piano lessons for adults, and that ever popular ukulele basics for teens and adults. The Recreation Department will host our second American Red Cross Blood Drive this year at the Community Center. This one's on Friday, August 14th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Everyone's encouraged to sign up at www.redcrossblood.org and just type in sponsor code CONCORDCC, or simply call us and we can schedule your appointment for you. And here's a fun fact. A single blood donation can help save up to 3 lives. And in our blood drive in July, we collected over 27 pints and potentially helped 81 people. So in August, our goal is to up that. And it's August. It's time to announce the winners of the 2020 Community Day Scholarship Awards. Although the traditional Community Day events aren't happening this year, the scholarships certainly are. Our first scholarship winner is James Kearley of Hunting Lake Drive. James will be attending American University and studying public health. Our next winner is Anthony Bray of Weathersfield Drive, and Anthony will be attending Miami University and studying computer science. And our final winner is Avery Campbell of Bridlewood. Avery will attend Ohio State University and she will study finance. The annual scholarships are made possible through the commitment and the generosity of Lake Health Systems and university hospitals. So we thank them for their continued support. And we often get calls and inquiries about our community garden. So I thought I'd share a little bit of information with you about how to get a plot. The Township Community Garden is located at 7125 Ravenna Road behind the Old Stone School. It contains 34 plots, with half of them on the organic side and the remaining 17 on the non-organic side. Plots range in size from a few 10 by 10 raised beds to 10 by 20 and 20 by 20 gardens. And although all of the plots are currently spoken for this year, anyone interested in the garden next year can simply download the application from the website and send it in by the end of February, because plots are basically assigned in March. So shout out to the gardeners, because they are literally the cream of the crop. They've cultivated their own close community over the years, and it's been an honor to watch it grow. No pun intended. And lastly, finally, it's easy to stay informed on township happenings. Start by reading the township newsletter. The Fall Grapevine is scheduled to be mailed directly to everybody's home in early September and is full of valuable information on each township department. It also includes our fall class schedule, our modified senior programs that begin in September, and a preview of what our fall family events are going to look like. Other ways to stay informed include subscribing to our monthly email newsletter, the e-Grapevine, downloading the Concord app, or visiting our highly informative website. We encourage residents to follow us on social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or simply pick up the phone and call any department for immediate assistance. The Recreation Department always welcomes resident input, so please contact us anytime. And thank you very much for your time and attention tonight.
Thank you, Deborah. Always very informative and thorough. Thank you. Moving on to Concord Law Enforcement. We have Sheriff Liam Bruno here tonight.
Well, I've been storing up for a couple months now, so I'll try to keep it under an hour.
Great.
For July, we had 1,011 calls for service. We handled 2 injury accidents in Concord, 9 property damage accidents. We did 6 arrests, 3 for driving under the influence, 2 drug arrests, 1 disorderly conduct. We went to 47 alarms, we gave 107 warnings and 8 citations in terms of doing traffic here in Concord. We did 99 business checks, 56 crime preventions. We handled 22 civil complaints, 33 disabled vehicles, which is sort of unusual when it's not the winter time. that we are working on. We have a number of investigations, 3 of which are drug investigations on Johnny Cake Ridge and Auburn Road. We responded to a shots fired on Butler Hill Drive, 2 trespass complaints on Mountain Ash and Buckeye. We had 2 warrant arrests in the area, both on Auburn Road. We responded to 41 noise complaints and then various other investigations. Couple things to note. In June, we came out with the Lake County Sheriff's mobile app. So that is now available for your Android or your Apple phone. It's available online at the App Store, and it's under Lake County OH. Lake County OH. It's a free app you can download to your phone, and we have lots of information on it. Our most wanted is on there. We have a mapping of sexual offenders in your area that's available, an app to access our jail information, our jail roster, see who's in jail. If you don't have social media, it has social media posts on it, as well as we have news releases that we put out. There's an alert bar across the top, so if there's an accident in your area or there's an emergency, it will send alert to your phone if you so choose, and you hit the icon on your phone, and it will tell you what that emergency is and take you to a more detailed message concerning that. We also have township information on there, access to all the Lake County phone numbers. One other thing I want to mention, since I haven't had a chance to be here, because there's a lot out there in regards to police reform today and what's going on. And so a lot of our residents ask us how we are doing as an agency. Way back when Trustee Dondorfer worked for the Sheriff's Office, he was one of the initial moves to get us involved in the Ohio Collaborative. Right. In the Ohio Collaborative are 4 major areas of certification in Ohio for police departments that involve racial profiling, use of force, use of deadly force, those types of areas. The Lake County Sheriff's Office is one of the departments certified fully in the state of Ohio for that. We do mental health training, so we work with Beacon Health in terms of sending our deputies to be trained in terms of mental health response for people who are impaired, how better to work with them. And we've been doing that for the last 10 years. For the last 20 years, all of our officers have been trained in de-escalation training. Just interesting to note, about 25 years ago, not 25 minutes ago, 25 years ago, we banned chokeholds at our department and don't use those unless it's a matter of last resort. All of our incidents for use of force are reviewed by at least 5 individuals, all the way up to myself as the sheriff, in terms of any use of force done by the Lake County Sheriff's Office. So we're trying to stay ahead, and we've always tried to do that, be proactive. We've been involved with Begin the Conversation here in Lake County, where we work with our minority sectors of our population and have been an active participant in that since it was created about 3 years ago. And lastly, we're working with Concord Fire, as well as other fire departments in Lake County and other police departments in Lake County at Auburn Career Center this week. 3 days of training for mass casualty drills. So it's a lot of ways for us to come together and work together. And any questions?
One question on the app, correct me if I'm wrong, you do have the ability to submit a tip on the
You
app?
can submit a tip,
Okay.
and you can either text it or call it in and
Okay.
leave a message, and it will record it. Again, that app's free.
Right.
doesn't cost
So
you
if
anything.
somebody wants to submit an anonymous tip or something like that,
It's
they
all
can do that
anonymous.
all on the
It's
application.
all anonymous,
That's great. Great tool. Thank you, Sheriff.
not a problem.
Yep. Okay, we are moving on to our audience portion. We will, I'll unmute the phone. Oh, they have to unmute, yeah. Welcome everybody who is on the phone with us this evening, and we will start with anybody with the last name beginning with A through I. If you could state your name and address for the record and go ahead with any comment or question that you have. Okay, seeing that there are none, anybody with the last name beginning with J through R, if you could please state your name and address for the record. If you're online, man, or if you're on the phone and you'd like to make a comment or ask a question, you can go ahead. Okay.
I have a kind of a two-part question regarding the levies. And one of them is that I think is a good thing that you've been talking about. You've stated numerous times, even at the stakeholder meetings, that you plan to pay for this levy and an early basis. This calendar even commented that you could pass a resolution stating your commitment to pay off the bond levy early, which sounds like a really good thing to do. I have a question related to that. Will you sign an irrevocable resolution stating that you will pay off the $8 billion bond levy early? Because I think, just sitting here thinking about it, that this commitment could go a long way to encourage residents to support the levy.
Mrs. Kangas, I want to clarify something. I believe last night Mr. Callender said that was not an option. I don't know if you had problem hearing, but we did ask if we were capable of doing that, and he said that was not an option. When this goes to issue, depending on how it goes, there may be a lockout period of an undetermined amount of years before we can prepay it. That's pretty traditional. He said it could be as low as 2, could be as high as 7 years, but we aren't able to make that commitment legally. It's not something that the ORC allows.
And Mrs. Kangas, I would like to indicate that in regards to your question, that, past practice here at the township, it's always been demonstrated by any debt that the township took out that we've looked at, that we've always paid off the debt early. So that would be our intention, but again, we would do our due diligence, especially during this period of time with low interest rates. I think it would put us in a better position to do that. Thank you for your question.
Yes, and I have a question that relates to what you just said about it not being legal. I suppose that meant to include it in the writing of the bond. Is that true?
That's correct.
Yes.
It cannot be. Well, what's the possibility of doing it in a fashion that is just a promise to the residents? And it's not a legal, it's not going into a legal paper. I think it really
Thank you.
if you're looking for a
Right.
way to encourage people to vote for this $8 million levy, that would be a good thing to do.
Thank you for that comment, Ms. Kangas. And yes, it is $8 million, and it's the $8 million is to support the financing and construction of both stations. And we will look at that. I mean, I think we, all from the initial part of this project, you know, we've demonstrated that we've been honest and transparent and open to recommendations made by the public. And I will assure you that we will certainly look at that, and it's a good suggestion. Thank you.
Ms. Kangas, Morgan McIntosh, I agree with Mr. Dondorfer. I agree with you. I mean, we would prefer to retire the debt early, and as we presented last week, the township certainly has a record of it, and that goes along with my own personal and business philosophy. So we'll have to do some diligence on that with our legal counsel as far as how we might approach that, but I don't think that's an unreasonable request for us to consider.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I just wanted to agree too. I thought that was a good suggestion. We do have a good track record of paying things off early, and if we can, we certainly would do that. So thank you.
Anybody else on the line with us this evening?
I have one more related.
Okay.
Levy question for you.
All right, what we're gonna do then is we'll go through the questions and we'll take notes and we'll address them all at the end. Go ahead, Mrs. Kangas.
Okay, is it probable that you will ask Concord residents to renew the 5-year fire levy in 2021? Because I think that's coming up for renewal.
That was, okay. Okay, thank you. I'm taking a note on that. We'll address.
Hourly rate of many firefighters, I've been told, has increased substantially this year, which is fine. And the fire levy pays for salaries as one of its goals, as well as other items. Do you stand at this one of the stakeholder meetings? There was a comment from you all that you want to try not to increase this levy this coming year. We also could have another property tax increase next year, and the possibility, which would further be a hardship. Is it possible that you all would consider not raising, like you renew, that you would raise the level of the levy?
Okay, thank you for your question, and we're gonna answer those at the end. We're gonna get through everybody that's online. Is there anybody, is that your last question, Mrs. Kangas?
Yes.
Yes, okay, and who's on the line now?
This is Bob Sanderson, 7796 Rockville Lane.
Good evening, Mr. Sanderson.
Good evening. I have one question. At a stakeholder meeting, numerous people, and I remember one in particular, asked about cutting costs in the Station 2 by using less costly exterior material, fitting better with the residential homes around that area, and to utilize pre-engineered bays, reducing the cost. And if you did reduce the cost for construction right away, why don't you do this?
Okay, we will answer that right at the end once we get through everybody here. We're all taking notes here. Is that your last question, Mr. Sanderson?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else on the line this evening?
Sure, this is Vanessa Preston, 11705 Town Court. I had a couple of questions about station number 1. I know that you stated that the footprint is 18,000 square feet, but what is the total square foot for proposed station number 1? And second, do you have a floor plan and firm costs from the architect and the engineer as the trustees had last year when they put their tax levy on the ballot? You also, with the stakeholder meetings, it seems that there were a lot of creative ways to reduce the cost of these buildings, so that you wouldn't need the $8 million tax fund. So I was wondering where you were on that. And then finally, just a statement regarding the cost of the two stations. In 2019, when the trustee asked for a levy, Station number 1 was $8.9 million. Station number 2 was $5 million. This year, station number 1 is based on slide is $8.8 million. Station number 2 is $4.9 million. So they're pretty much the same cost for the two stations. So I'm not quite sure, after going through those stakeholder meetings, finding ways to look at things that give citizen input, how we ended up with the same cost for two private stations. So maybe you could explain that as well.
Okay.
Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else on the line? Okay, I'll start off. Mrs. Kangas, you had mentioned there was some discussion at the last stakeholder meetings, I guess, about the fire operations levy. And we really hadn't considered anything in that regard, and that's not something we're not going to look at. I know that by our decision to look at an $8 million bond levy, it puts us in a better position to complete two stations and possibly, not have the ability not to raise the operations levy. It puts us in a better position. We really haven't discussed that, but it does put us in a better condition for that, position for that. I know that, correct me if I'm wrong, Morgan, but I believe Vanessa mentioned that it was an 8.9 that was asked for in 2019. I thought the not to exceed was 10 million.
Correct.
So that's actually a $2 million reduction for the budget estimate, Vanessa. The not to exceed was asked at 10 million. We reduced it by 2. And then, again, we covered a lot of this in the stakeholder meeting. That's a budget estimate. We do not have floor plans yet because we haven't gone to fixed competitive bidding and gotten the design development and the construction drawings done yet, because we first have to secure financing. I know that Mr. Sanderson mentioned something about the pre-engineered bays and things of that nature. That's something that we would look at once we got into the design development and the construction plans and the fixed competitive bids to try to drill down the cost. Again, this number that is out there, the not to exceed, is a budget estimate. It's not the final cost of the project. So I don't know, maybe Morgan, or Amy, can you?
Okay. Yes, I mean, I don't want to totally repeat everything Carl said, but with respect to renewing the levy, yes, we have a levy that's expiring in 2 years, and it is, as Ms. Kangas accurately pointed out, for our salaries and wages, and so we will be asking. I mean, I don't see how, we're not building stations to have them empty, so that would be a renewal. I think, yes, as we said yesterday, this board has agreed to, we had 2 funding options in front of us, and we went with the higher ask, or the higher amount, simply because that puts the township in a stronger position with respect to, as it was said earlier, unanticipated expenses, and it does create some elbow room. So we would be looking to, it would put us in a good spot to not have to raise taxes. I am hesitant to commit to something that far out, but at this point we are trying to create insurance so we don't have to be so tight in our budgets, why we went with the higher amount. With respect to cost cutting and then the external materials, those are all things that are going to come in when we put this thing to bid and we have those conversations. We haven't gotten that far yet. So when you look at those line items and you see the dollars amount to reference there, that's the estimate of it. The real conversations all come after we are approved for the financing and we're into those conversations. So those options all still remain on the table. With respect to final design, as I said last night, Station 1 is something that we put forth in concept. At the start of July, we held 2 stakeholder meetings. The door has been open for a conversation about design, and that's why they weren't taken any further with design, and we haven't done that. So it would be a very short order to create those next steps and get us right to the edge of planning, get the project moving along. So if we're able to receive the funding through the passage of the levy, that we can then go right into the detailed design and start getting into the bidding and really looking at under the hood, because we've realistically done a lot of work so far to reduce everything. And I guess I'd like to close by saying that while we did go through this, the diligence we've done this year, in my view, validates the footprint and the design of the stations. In other words, we've had a number of fire people look at it and say, there's no waste here, there isn't anything. We are going to move in and use these facilities at their pretty much their fullest capacity out the gate. That this is a step to get Concord where it needs to be for today. It isn't building anything we don't already need. Amy?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Mr. Sanderson, we did look at some pre-engineered bays and steel roofs and things like that to try to cut costs. And I believe from a architectural and construction standpoint, we were looking for materials that were going to last us 50 years. So, you know, sometimes it's cheaper to do things up front, but if we're going to be spending more money in 2 or 3 years, that's something that we didn't kind of want to go with. But we did look at, to address Ms. Pesic, you know, we changed the Station 1 to a different location. So we did take a lot of input. We did reduce the floor plan, especially on the first floor. To answer your question about total square footage, I believe it's 23,000 total. 17, I think, is on the first floor, but with the basement, that's the added. So we did take a lot of input from the stakeholder meetings, from the residents, to help reduce those costs.
Thank you for your participation tonight, for all those that are on the phone with us, and we will move into old business. There's a vote.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the memorandum of understanding between Concord Township Board of Trustees and the International Association of Professional Firefighters, Local 3329 AFL-CIO, relating to vacation and holiday rollover for 2020.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving into new business this evening.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we vote to approve July financial reports.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item B.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve Resolution 2020-23, a resolution authorizing the fiscal officer to certify assessed street lighting to the county auditor for the tax year 2020, with such assessed street lighting being collectible in the calendar year of 2021.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item C.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we vote to approve Resolution 2020-26, a resolution authorizing the Board of Trustees for Concord Township to enter into the Ohio Water Pollution Control Loan Fund for Water Resource Restoration Sponsor Program, sponsorship agreement for the Brightwood Lake Dam removal and Kellogg Creek Restoration Project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item D.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the change in status of probationary part-time firefighter EMT Joshua Gibson to probationary part-time firefighter paramedic effective 7/20 of 2020.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move that we vote to approve Service Department a step increase to $24.77 per hour for Operator 1 Cameron Edwards effective August 20th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item F.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve to appoint Rich Eifelis to Zoning Commission regular member effective August 5th through March 31st, and that was due to a resignation. Mr. Eifelis is a recent appointment to our Zoning Commission, and I know that his experience in the community, his commitment to Concord, and his professional background will be a tremendous asset to the Zoning Commission.
And Mr. McIntosh, that was March 31st, 2022.
22. Restating those dates, August 5th, 2020 through March 31st, 2022.
And I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item G.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we vote to appoint James Rowe to Board of Zoning Appeals, alternate member, effective August 15th, 2020 through August 14th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item H, I believe, is a recognition letter for the Stars and Stripes Award recipient, Anna Duria.
Yes, sir. The Stars and Stripes Award recipient, Hannah Doria. It is with great pleasure that the trustees of Concord Township extend their congratulations to Hannah for attainment of the very prestigious American Heritage Girls Stars and Stripes Award. Anyone who has known a Stars and Stripes Award recipient understands the years of hard work and dedication that accompanies this award. However, it is certainly worth noting that Hannah is the 663rd recipient to receive the Stars and Stripes Award since American Heritage Girls started over 20 years ago. It is impressive that you have chosen American Heritage Girls from your youngest years as one of your primary guides towards character development. You have exemplified the ideals and goals in innumerable ways with 3 level awards, 27 merit badges, 3 Presidential Service Awards, and 400 service hours earned. Furthermore, your leadership and community dedication is demonstrated with your service project consisting of developing a detailed project plan, raising funds, and renovating an office at New Day Church, which included an upgrade of offices, systems, and computer hardware. Congratulations on earning your high school diploma and your associate's degree from Lakeland Community College. We wish you the best as you pursue a pre-med degree at Kent State University, and we look forward to watching you grow as a future community leader. Sincerely, the Concord Township Board of Trustees.
Thank you. Congratulations to Hannah.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Wonderful recognition.
Amazing.
Yep.
It's always great to see young people in our community working hard and serving. It's very rewarding. It's great.
Yes,
It should
very
be-
inspiring. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to future meetings and announcements.
Mr. Chairman, I want to, before we get to that, I want to recommend that, I know we've had some holiday schedules and things going on here, and I know it is a standard practice of the township to suspend this or cancel the second meeting of August, which I believe what is going to occur on the 19th of this month. So I would ask that we cancel that meeting and have a little vacation here in the summertime before we get to future meetings and announcements.
Okay, I'm in agreement.
I agree.
Okay, we will cancel the second scheduled trustee meeting for the month of August. And Mrs. Dawson.
Thank you, Mr. Dondorfer. On Wednesday, August 12th at 7 p.m., the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting will be held here at Concord Town Hall. As was just stated, the previously scheduled regular trustee meeting on August 19th and the trustee office hours will be canceled. And then on Wednesday, August 25th at 6 p.m., Tuesday, August 25th at 6 p.m. will be a work session for the trustees on economic development held here at Town Hall.
Thank you very much. And that concludes our trustee meeting for this evening. We hope all of our residents stay safe and well. Thank you. We're adjourned.